Michael Padurano. How do you see that wording, the path?
So when I visualize it, it's this zigzaggy road that just goes up hills and down hills and up mountains and around mountains and through 7,000-foot tall ant hills. Like, right? I mean, it's just what I picture, right? Because
you never know what's around the corner.
Right. Like, I mean, and that's just a path, right? There is no linear path. There is no easy way. There is no shortcuts.
Yeah.
It's a one day at a time journey, one step at a time, some days.
For sure.
And you just crawl, you just roll forward.
Yeah. Roll down a few hills and take a shortcut here and there.
Yes.
I love it. And pain and joy are along that path. It's part of our journey, you know. So whew. And can you be in pain and still experience joy? I say yes. What do you say?
Yes.
So how do you see that?
They are so directly connected that we don't even realize it. Mm-hmm. I am under the belief, from what I have learned through this life and many others, that there we go to woo-woo. See, we're running me off of LinkedIn again.
Yeah, right.
It's okay. I'm all good.
You, Michael.
My field just attracts. We're good. I don't need the social media.
Right.
Pain and joy are so directly linked that the extreme of pain you are willing to sit through, grow through, and learn and evolve is the extreme of joy and happiness that we will allow ourselves to feel.
Tell us more.
So there's this old saying that you can't pour an ocean into a puddle, right? Or a puddle into a drop of water. The way you expand it is by sitting, growing through the pain, learning, being self-aware and self-understanding, and really expanding from your heart outward.
Yeah.
But that means sitting in the pain. That means growing through the pain. Mm-hmm. That's where escapism gets bad, when you're hiding from the pain.
Or running.
Because then it can, because it contracts you. And if you're contracted, then you can't feel the joy either. The joy is fleeting also.
Good point.
But when you're expanding, it opens this enormous bandwidth for pain and joy.
Yeah.
That's how connected I believe they are.
Yeah, when you stick with it, you start to see the little, pieces, parts come together, and there's a great deal of joy in that. So yeah, and joy is just a decision as well. So
it's a conscious decision based on circumstances and environment, right? You can either allow it to define you or not, right? You can read Dr. Edith Edgar's book called The Choice, about when she was in the concentration camps. And even 30 years later, she was still miserable after surviving it, and hated everything, and divorced her husband, and was blaming and shaming everyone else, and then finally took accountability and
that's the thing.
married her ex-husband back again, right? Because she realized it wasn't him. It was, it was her BS, right? And she didn't meet Viktor Frankl until after she was already in the US for 10 or 15 years. And he helped be the igniter of her shift. Amazing book, though. The Choice and the Gift by Dr. They're great books.
Say it again.
The Choice and the Gift. Those are her two books.
Oh, I see.
Dr. Edith Edgar. She's 95 years old as of yesterday, actually.
Oh, really? Wow.
And she still dances on stage because her thing is ballet. As a child, it was ballet. Yeah. She used to do ballet in the concentration camps.
Really? Wow. I love that. I don't know if you know, I have a background in dance. I did tap, ballet, jazz band, Hawaiian belly dance. I mean, the list goes on and on. Right? I love it. Okay. And so I had a gymnastics accident. I lost my father to suicide at the beginning of August, and by February I had lost what I felt like I had lost my dance career, because I had a gymnastics accident, and they told me I'd be lucky if I walked, I'd never dance again. I did prove them wrong. However, pain was definitely a catalyst for me. And then I ended up going into special ed, thinking I was no longer the dancer, I started identifying with being a special ed teacher, even though I did a lot of private clinical work, wasn't in the system that much. So, and then it was like I worked with a coach who was a shaman, and she got me back in touch with, no, I am the dancer, and what does dance really mean, and dancers are this and that, and it's like, oh, that does describe me. So it's interesting how like we have to like identify with something, right? The ego is all about that sort of thing. I love it. Okay, so what's your take on pain is a catalyst?
So
On the exhale.
maybe I'm more stubborn than most, and I'm more than willing to own that. But for me to make a change, there has to be an utmost amount of pain. And for me, pain has always been a catalyst for change.
It has, yeah, from an early age. It's an imprint that you have. There's a huge connection in your life.
Yeah. And as before I started living in self-awareness, I used it as an excuse. Living in self-awareness, it's the most positive experience that I can imagine.
Wow.
Because pain is the indicator to me. It's, what am I avoiding? What am I hiding from? What am I running from? What am I scared of? What is triggering me? What is creating a reaction within me?
Yeah.
And observing that, like you said, the observer observing the observation. I've realized that the pain is the greatest catalyst for growth. It's every single time throughout even the course of my life, even when I wasn't living in self-awareness, and even when I was making choices that didn't align with my core values because I had no idea what they were.
Yeah.
It's still, there was growth to be had and lessons to learn.
Yeah. Catalyst to being an indicator, catalyst to being escapism,
Yeah.
It's like money, right? Money's an energy,
It's a very neutral energy.
Yeah. You think it's neutral or it's an expanding energy? Because to me, it's like an expanding energy. So like if you're a jerk, you're going to be a bigger jerk with money. If you're a really kind person, you're going to be really generous with your money. It's just going to expand who you already are.
But see, I believe it's neutral because I don't give it power at all.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I believe
it is what it is. It is what who you are at the moment.
And what we put into it is what we get out of it, like anything else.
Yeah, for sure.
And I believe in limitlessness. Like I was telling you earlier about the boundaries. I just believe in limitlessness. So I believe that, money is limitless also. And wealth to me, isn't described as money. It has nothing to do with finances.
So you can expand it or you can decrease it. We're back to choice, right?
Yeah.
Love it.
Always.
Yeah. Okay, and growth. Wow. That's a big word for you. That's all you do.
It really is one of the most important core values in my life, because when I get stagnant, I start disappearing into different ways, right? And when my father died 5-6 weeks ago, whatever it was, I was worried. I was really worried that I was going to go into a stagnant state. But I was actually, luckily, extremely self-aware of where I was at every day.
Cool.
And I stuck to my journaling. I stuck to my meditating, even though my meditating wasn't what I normally do. And I had self-compassion. I understood where I was at, and I allowed it to be whatever it was, but I didn't give up the routine.
Nice.
And I gave myself space to process. And are we ever over grief? I don't think so. No. But I'm through this wave. The initial wave, right? And there'll be more. There's always more.
There is. Grief comes when you least expect it. Sometimes it just comes out of nowhere. And I remember like we had 2 Shih Tzus, twins, and we lost one at like age 6 and almost 7. Yeah, and I thought I was like completely over it at one point, and somebody sent me very colorful roses, like rainbow colored roses, and it was signed, you know, from Marshall, which is our dog that we lost. And it was at a time I didn't realize how raw I still was. I felt like I was over it, and you know, then I was angry, you know. And it was just really interesting timing, for sure. What were you gonna say, Michael?
No, I agree with the anger, right? Like I feel like there's more anger coming to the surface as I'm on this phase of this grieving process.
Uh-huh.
My irritation tolerance is lower, as well as my, I have a shorter fuse.
Yeah.
Things that my kids used to do that I would just like kind of laugh off now irk me a little bit more.
Yeah.
But overall, yeah, I mean, it just is what it is, right? Like
Yeah.
I'm allowing myself to feel whatever it is.
Yeah.
Some days it's horrible, some days it's great, some days it's good, some days it's just, it is what it is. Like, and I'm just trying not to judge myself because I spent my whole life doing that. That's annoying after a while.
That gets old.
It did. It really did. It
Right?
got old.
Love it. Thank you so much, Michael. I just really appreciate having conversations with you.
You too. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.